Thank you. It is my privilege to present on things that I'm passionate about. I'm very passionate about today's topic. It's creating great stuff through great mindset. So I want to just talk for a minute about creating, and I want to remind you that you're always creating in every moment. There's no neutral about it. You're either creating something that's part of the solution or you're creating something that's part of the problem. So be conscious. It's like you got a vehicle and you better know if you're on the right side of the road or not, right? So I want to use a metaphor. It's not a perfect metaphor, but it's pretty close. We are always creating through various stages of transformation. So I love this metaphor of a butterfly. So a caterpillar starts out as a caterpillar, and it's a very consuming kind of creature. It's always eating, and it's always gathering. And that's what we do as small children. We're always trying to understand the world, and we're trying to understand our part in it. And that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing to be a caterpillar and a better thing to be a butterfly. It's just a natural stage we go through. And sometimes we get stuck in the caterpillar, or we revert to the caterpillar where we're more about consuming and having transactions with each other than actually becoming that butterfly that isn't about that, right? So what's so cool is that in the caterpillar, it finally gets so bloated with consuming that it gets tired of that. And it's ready for something different, and it stops, and it reflects, in a sense, if it's us. And inside of the caterpillar is what's called the imaginal cells, and that's really what the biologists call them, imaginal cells. And those imaginal cells have a completely different plan that has been lying dormant within that caterpillar. And so when you allow, all of a sudden that, you don't even have anything to say about it in a sense, those imaginal cells start multiplying. And they start to be a bit at war with the caterpillar cells, because just like human nature, we tend to resist growing up. We tend to resist growing into our greatness, right? And so that caterpillar, the imaginal cells just keep clumping together until they kind of overwhelm the caterpillar. And in that state, in the chrysalis, it's kind of a mess. Everything is disintegrating and becoming this messy soup in order for the imaginals to create this new entity that has a completely different structure, look, job, beauty, all of that. Both parts, equally important. So some of the times we're creating great stuff, but it's still kind of coming from that consumer, transactional caterpillar part of us. And sometimes we're creating stuff that's coming from this place of freedom where we don't really need anything from anybody. We're just giving something to the world. And that's kind of our happy place, but we have to forgive ourselves when we slip back into the caterpillar, because we still have work in the chrysalis, right? And that's why this isn't completely perfect, because we kind of let ourselves kind of go in and out of it. But the goal for me is to become that person that has that ability to be free and to create great things consciously that are more beautiful and more meaningful than the consumerism part of me that would want to take from people. And there's fulfillment, there is joy in living from that place. So one of the things I wanted to read, and this is going to be kind of a religious quote. I apologize to anybody that doesn't believe in God. I hope that you can put the filter on to interpret it in a way that doesn't offend. But it's one of my favorite quotes, and it's out of the Course in Miracles, which is a spiritual practice I have. And it is, "Consider the kingdom that you have made and judge its worth fairly. Is it worthy of a child of God? Does it protect his peace and shine love upon him? Does it keep his heart untouched by fear and allow him to give always without any sense of loss? Does it teach him that this giving is his joy and that God himself thanks him for his giving?" Now, I think when we're creating that kind of kingdom of God, we're creating a chrysalis that is the healthiest conditions to allow that butterfly to take off. And I know that there's a story that says if you cut the chrysalis open without the butterfly doing what it needs to do to come out on its own, it won't be able to fly because it hasn't strengthened its core in that process for growth. And I believe that all of us have possibly, maybe not all of us, have sort of defects in the chrysalis, and we have to go find other chrysalises to kind of correct and heal and move forward. And so I see that as what I see E4E as a big chrysalis that is a healthy kingdom of God. And you all are doing that, but I want to challenge you to go further with it because you are these powerful creators. And you want to make sure that you're consciously choosing to create the best possible conditions for yourself and others to be what they can be. So when I think about creating great stuff, we all know what great stuff feels like, right? It feels loving and supportive and encouraging, and it feels beautiful. And it feels like it's, Karen Libby was saying, like the stuff of dreams, right? That's what great stuff feels like. And we also know what not so great stuff feels like. So I want to talk a little bit about our world for a minute. How many of you guys, by raise of hands, think that we have some interpersonal problems in our communities these days? I mean, if you think about the politics, right? How many of you guys, by raise of hands, believe love is the answer? Okay, we all do. The problem is we haven't learned how to do love very well. Sometimes we can be thrown back into the caterpillar mind of consumerism and fear and scarcity because we don't have the core and the strength to maintain not going there. Okay, so love is the answer. We just aren't selfish and determined enough to create it because it's not the hatred that's causing the problem, it's our lack of determination to create kindness, to create love, to create conditions for people to be free to be part of the solution. So here's a couple beliefs I want to share with you guys. I believe that trustworthiness is absolutely essential. And in my work, when we talk about trustworthiness, we go to every person that has a problem with relationships and we say, here's these 8 ways of behaving that builds trust. Which ones are you not doing? And which ones is the other person not doing? Now let's go to the tool set and figure out how to fix it first in you and then in them. So I just want to mention these values, and I want you to search your own heart and say, yeah, I'm good at that one, not so good at that one, okay? And see where you are with these. One is just being honest. And honesty isn't just I don't lie on my income taxes or tell stories. Lying means I'm not making up anything about who I am or what I believe in. Straightforwardness is a little different from honesty. It's where we say, hey, I want you to only spend $20 on lunch if I'm your boss. Are you willing? It's stating expectations. It's asking for what we want. And a lot of us are really scared because we're in the caterpillar that says, but I need their affection. I need them to like me. And so we'll withhold the trustworthiness of being straight with people because of that neediness that we go to. There's the value of being receptive. A couple people, Mark has talked about it, Ann has talked about it, being able to really listen to other people without judging and changing them. Being able to be respectful, to be able to disclose how you feel. Like I'm disclosing to you that I have this faith in creating this kingdom, this chrysalis, and I'm disclosing to you who I am, that sometimes I'm the caterpillar and sometimes I'm the butterfly, and it's okay. And so when we can disclose, we create vulnerable, real, and authentic communications with people. So sometimes our very withholding of who we are is the way we break trust. There's also things like following through on commitments and seeking excellence in everything you do. So not being unselfish. Be selfish to be excellent. Be selfish to have kindness. Be selfish to say, I will make sure everybody is fed on the planet. I will make sure that everybody is treated well. That's the thing we fall down on with our excellence. Another belief I have is that the ends and the means both matter. When I was growing up, I was really fortunate in some ways and really unfortunate in some ways in my chrysalis. My family was super socially minded, action-oriented. I think those gifts passed down to me. They were very smart people. They thought through things. Where they had difficulties is they had a righteousness about their beliefs. And they made their beliefs more important than people sometimes. And so I believe it's really important to realize that how you do something with people is as important as what you want to accomplish with them. So an example of this was I was raised in a family that was very Catholic, very pro-life, My mom was the pro-life chairman, but she would make me, or not make me, she would have us kids all picket in front of an abortion clinic. Now, a lot of people do that on both sides of the equation. They're trying to fix, convert, heal, or change somebody else. And in my heart, even as a little kid, I thought, this doesn't feel good. I feel like it's us against them. I don't want to do us against them. So to me, if there's a problem to solve, like you believe in the sanctity of life, which I do, I just don't believe doing it that way helps, because it, if anything, makes somebody feel less than, or less important, or less worthy. It is not a helpful solution. So I even challenge some of the things that we've held on to for centuries, that it's the only way to accomplish a goal. Like, yes, maybe we had to do it with suffragettes or the civil rights movement, but what if we could find ways to help create something between people where there doesn't have to be, I'm better and smarter and I know more than you, and you are lesser than me, and let me fix you and change you, right? Because I see it on both sides of the spectrum. I won't have that anymore, because I believe the ends and the means both matter. People matter more than beliefs, and we can so easily forget that. They can feel invisible with us, they can feel unimportant, they can feel overpowered by us. It's our job to make sure that they feel how important we are to them. I remember recently I was on Facebook and I had made some kind of comment that I didn't even think was controversial, but a person replied and said, wow, I've never seen you say anything controversial, which isn't necessarily a good thing. But I said, well, I hope you know you matter to me more than any belief I ever hold, and I hope everybody on here knows that. Because we don't give that signal to other people that you matter more to me than what I believe about life. You are a sacred being, and that is first and foremost. And I believe that the reason we need to create that chrysalis is that people need to remember the true core of who they are. And one of my biggest beliefs is that we are love. We are love, and we forget it every day. And in the soup of the chrysalis, we have to undo all those parts of us that believes we're not love, so that we can turn into that butterfly that is love. And we have the opportunity to create the conditions in every encounter that allows people to come into that state of true being, which is love. And that is always a solution, not a problem. Thank you. Any questions or comments?
You had said that people over beliefs, and you mean to tell me if you believe something dearly and somebody's going against that, that you're supposed to honor the person above your beliefs?
Yes. It doesn't mean that you are condoning their beliefs or that you're surrendering your beliefs. It just means that when you leave that conversation, they know that who they are as a person matters more than any belief that you hold, and that they have the feeling of that they're visible, that they're respected, that you have a sense of, you matter as much as me, you are as important as me, I'm not better than you, and that in that sense, yes, I'm not saying abdicate your belief system. Does that help?
Yes.
Yeah, and along those lines, I phrase it a little differently than Judy does, but the way I talk to my clients that I coach on this kind of thing is that you have to be faithful to your beliefs, but at the same time you have to respect others' rights to their beliefs, because if you're not willing to extend that respect to them, to make that choice what they want to believe in, then you're in actuality relinquishing your right to your beliefs.
And I would just say something, just because I always listen to words, you said you have to do that. There are a lot of people that don't want to do that, and that's okay. They can stay caterpillars the rest of their life, but if you want to be happy, you'll want to do that, right?
So Judy, a book quote that came to my mind as you were talking said that many people, when they're working with people, they criticize people afterwards, and they never really tell them what they expect. So I'll be quick to tell you what I don't like about what you do, as opposed to, Judy, this is what my expectations are from you. Mm-hmm. Do you observe that same behavior, and do you have any thoughts around that issue?
You mean people saying this is what I don't like?
Yeah, it's like I'm never going to tell you what good looks like, but I'm going to be quick to point out to you when I don't like what you do.
Okay, I love it that you're saying this because in my opinion, it isn't about saying hard things to people or not saying hard things to people. Believe me, I say hard things to people that they don't like to hear, but I'm telling you, most people can receive it when your highest intent is to love them and to help them. And when you've taken the time to make sure that they have said, yes, you're welcome into this space to give me that advice. So when I go into a client site, they've invited me. And even if they start resisting, I'll say, are you still inviting my counsel here? But it doesn't mean that I'm not going to say things that will feel critical, but they will feel my intent to help them be that stronger butterfly with those stronger wings. Does that answer what you're asking? Okay.
Judy, thank you for those thoughts. I especially like that you're either creating the solution or creating the problem. To the bigger picture, one of the things that at least that I have found that helpful, and I'd like your thought about this, is that often we start talking too fast as opposed to asking questions and getting the other person to start talking, because sometimes they'll come up with the solution as opposed to our trying to impose a solution.
Yes.
So what do you think about that?
Well, for me, I talk fast. Sometimes it's just coming from the great place of me, but sometimes I talk fast because I'm in fear. So if you talk fast to somebody, check in if you're in that part of yourself that's trying to be transactional, where you need something from them, or the part of you that is strictly reflecting outward your purpose and your values and the things you believe will be helpful to others. If you're talking fast from a place of fear and desperation, you'll feel it in your body. Do you guys know what I'm talking about with this? Right? So just be aware, oh, I'm in the caterpillar right now. That's okay, but let's get over here where I'm not transactional, where I'm living from purpose and values, and that's all I'm exuding, so that I'm more helpful to myself and the people around me. Does that help? Okay, anybody else? We good? Okay, we're out of time. Thank you.